Hello, peeps and creeps, and welcome to Fright Club. I'm Gav, he's Danny.
Hello.
We are the Fright Club NI, and this is a brand new episode of Monday Night Frights. And on tonight's show, we're talking about one of the greatest sequels of all time, Dream Warrior!
Yeah!
Oh my God.
And we're back with another episode of Monday Night Frights and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Danny, what can we say about this movie? One of the greatest sequels ever.
Love it. Fucking love it. It is so good.
Yeah.
Because I mean, even after, yes, we actually do talk about Freddy 2 and how much, well, Nightmare on Elm Street 2, we talked about how much we did actually appreciate it and really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we fucking loved it as much as we fucking love Dream Warriors.
Yes. We love Freddy 2, but we fucking love Freddy 3.
Fucking love it.
We fucking love it.
So good. And even, it doesn't matter how many times you watch it, there's wee things you forget. And then you just see it again. You remember all your iconic moments, but it's just nice wee things that you've forgotten about. And you're just like, it's a lovely thing to go back and watch. And just seeing Robert Englund again, I feel this is him at the height of getting to really get into Freddy. Like, he proper goes for it. Yeah, Robert Englund, he really gets to sort of shine in this one. His one-liners are absolutely on point. There's a lot of action. There's even some acrobatics from Freddy and the gang in this. It's all action, just super sequel to the first one. And again, we get Nancy back, which I mean, amazing. What's not to love about having Nancy back?
I know. So this was made in 1987, 3 years after the original film. I feel like that's probably the best sequel. Well, come on, it is the best sequel. Yeah. But I think that it's just kind of got the perfect blend of Freddy being a threat, but also kind of being a character as well. Yeah. Whereas after this, he kind of starts pushing towards being more of a character and being a sort of over the top. But in this one, he is over the top in it. But he's still very much kind of like, fuck, he's kind of scary, and he is definitely a threat to these kids.
He's still, he's still very threatening. I feel there was the one thing I kind of, with this one, I noticed it was because of the still in the Blu-ray collection, the still used for the Blu-ray collection menu for this is a really nice high definition image of Freddy, but it's really bright and you can kind of see all the details, and they've really softened down his burns.
Yeah,
probably the best way. It's the makeup effects and stuff for Freddy in this one are actually quite soft compared to the first two films.
The second one especially is really scary. Like, the makeup is very scary in the second one.
Proper grotesque and kind of oozy looking, whereas in this one it's a bit more, he's had a bit of blusher put on, and they've toned it down just a wee touch. But again, as you say, the threat of it still being there, and yes, he does his one-liners, but sometimes he doesn't even say anything. He just the wee actions and the wee movements he does and stuff. Like when he's doing the marionette kill and stuff. It's it's proper kind of it's proper sinister. And yeah, I feel like Freddy gets to shine. Freddy really gets to shine in this one.
Definitely. So this was directed by Chuck Russell, who would go on to direct the remake of The Blob the year after this, and would get pretty big success with The Mask. He directed The Mask with Jim Carrey in 1994. Nice. He's done other bits and bobs in between, but those were kind of his two big movies that you would remember him for outside of this. He co-wrote the script, which was also co-written by his writing partner, Frank Darabont. So there you go. For anyone who didn't know, Frank Darabont started out writing the script for A Nightmare on Elm Street. He, of course, went on to direct The Shawshank Redemption and Green Mile and The Mist, and he helped. I think he was involved in the first season of The Walking Dead as well. And then after the first season, he left it for personal reasons. I don't know, but yeah, massive director who's had a lot of success.
I'll work
But
with King's material.
yeah,
By the sounds
big
of things,
big
which
fan of
again,
Stephen King.
big fan here. Yep.
But yeah, so they wrote the script together. It was originally based on a script that was originally written by Wes Craven himself. I've read the Wes Craven script. I've read at least the first half of it. There is some differences. There's some similarities, but Craven's script I think was a little bit darker in tone, and there's a few different things, and there's a few things that they took from his script and they put it into their script, but they changed it a little bit around. But yeah, there was a big sort of tonal difference, and kind of Craven's was definitely a lot darker. Wes Craven obviously didn't want to do a sequel. Like, he wasn't involved in the second one. He wasn't interested in sequel at all. But he was sort of persuaded back because the second film, although it did okay at the box office, it was kind of critically panned.
Yeah.
And New Line needed Craven back to breathe new life into the franchise.
It's his baby. It's his son of 1,000 psychopaths.
I know. Oh fuck, we'll get there.
Oh, I can't wait.
One of the best lines ever.
It's such an intriguing, like, because it's the first time we kind of get any sort of backstory and context beyond the fact that he killed kids and was killed by the town parents.
Yeah,
we're finally getting a bit more context to his character.
I think this film, as over the top as it is, and the effects and all that, it does so many great things. It expands the lore of Krueger. It really sets up the franchise after this as well. It kind of really opens up it as a franchise. And just the fact that it expanded the lore so much on his backstory, and some people may not like that backstory. I thought it was great.
It's a great backstory, and again, it lends itself well then to what comes after. And I mean, some of the stuff that comes after is absolutely batshit, but it's still fun and it's still very Freddy, which
definitely
you can't really fault it.
No.
And anyone who does go, oh well, it just doesn't really work out for me. I'm like, just have fun, man. Sit down, have a Coke, and have a bit of fun. Chill the fuck out.
I know, fuck's sake. I actually don't know anybody that doesn't like the film. I mean, there's probably a few people out there that's kind of like, and you're just like, fuck off.
There's always going to be those fans out there that, if it doesn't hold true to the first film, I don't want to know about it. And you're like, why not just enjoy the thing for what it is? Don't have to compare it. Like, yes, I know we're kind of comparing by saying, oh, Freddy really gets to like up his ante and, really comes into his own. But that isn't like, it's not to say that we're like, oh, they shouldn't have done that.
I know. Just enjoy it, man. Just fucking enjoy it for what it is. But I wanted to show off my NECA figure.
Is this the one with the chest piece?
Aye.
Yeah. Oh, pretty.
So that's the wee chest piece, the wee house, and then the wee
puppet Freddy.
That's class, isn't it?
That's so good.
I've got a few of them up here as well. So, but I really love the Part 3 version.
I need to get me some Freddy toys.
Definitely. I'll definitely have to, man.
Yeah, I really want to.
So budget time.
I know. Figures time for figures.
Time.
Figures and then figures.
Exactly. I was trying to get a segue going there. The figure for this was 4.5 million was the budget, and it made 45 million at the box office. So well done, Chuck Russell.
Yay, Chuck Russell and New Line Cinema, and because I dare say they probably did. I imagine they marketed this hard, because there probably still was a big hype around the franchise and around Freddy. I mean, has the Freddy hype ever really died?
Well, it probably did after Freddy's dead a little bit, and then only because they actually had a real funeral for Freddy, which we'll get to in a couple of seasons.
Yes.
But yeah, if this hadn't been a success, the franchise would have been gone. So obviously they put a lot of money into the marketing side of it, and it was around this time where Freddy was really starting to kick off market-wise, and it was 87, so it was like MTV and all that was really sort of very, very popular, and it was just that right time.
Yeah, I was watching a couple of the MTV Freddy clips after, because I rewatched Dream Warriors today before we jumped on, and I was going through and watching some of the wee like MTV press release stuff
I know.
for just Robert Englund doing Freddy for press stuff, and it's just so much fun. And yeah, I feel that this film is the diving board in which Freddy got to show a bit more of a fun side, which really lends well to the whole marketing for the franchise.
So I was talked a little bit about Wes Craven's original script. His original idea before he even wrote the script. Guess what it was, Danny? He wanted Freddy to invade the real world.
Okay.
Which was apparently, I don't think he had written a script at this point, but this was the kind of idea. And obviously that was kind of turned down or whatever. But then, you know, we got New Nightmare a few years later, which was his concept from this script that he wasn't able to write for this one. Which I think is fucking awesome that he went back to that idea. So that's something that he wanted to play around with from years.
It's great when I like it when directors kind of come back to revisit something that they'd worked on previously. Like I know it doesn't always work out, but yeah, like early concepts that they may have had that they've kind of had time to let
creative
mature.
juices.
Yeah, let those creative juices kind of just simmer and bubble over and let the flavor build up and make something delicious. Yeah, I like it. I like it when directors revisit stuff at times, not all the time.
That idea probably wouldn't have worked for this film because, you know, we had only previously had two Elm Street films, but it worked really well for New Nightmare because obviously we had, you know, the 6 films, and the franchise had spanned 10 years at that point, so it worked well for that one. I can't wait to cover that as well, so that's going to be great. Great episode.
We have so many to cover each season, and again, I don't think we'll never get fed up with talking about them. I really don't think so.
No,
until we get to the remake.
Well, that's not happening.
The remake. Are we not doing it?
No.
I think we should let the people. decide. If you want us to talk about the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, let us know in the comments below. And if you don't, also let us know. We love a bit of engagement. So please let us know. Would you like us to, after we've covered all of the proper Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, would you like us to go back and visit the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street?
We'll definitely do Freddy versus Jason.
Oh yeah. Because it's a romp.
Yeah,
it's an absolute.
It's gonna be unreal. That episode's gonna be fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm firmly on the no side. But hey, if you want us to do it, we'll do it. It's up to you guys. But we're definitely not going to do it until after our Freddy versus Jason episode, which is like another 5 seasons away, because we're only going to do one per season. We're still doing it.
Are we going to go that long?
Oh, fucking right, we are. Definitely, man.
So it's good crack. Our ganches.
I know. I love it, man. It's great.
I love our ganches.
So there was actually, before Chuck Russell and Frank Darabont wrote their script, there was 3 scripts written for this, which is mad. Like, that's not something you normally hear. But there was Robert Englund wrote a script, and his script was called Freddy's Funhouse, and it was about the Elm Street house, the Nancy Thompson house. Freddy had now sort of taken that as his own funhouse as such, and he kind of led people to that house, and then he would have that be like booby trapped, similar to how Nancy did in the first movie. So that was kind of his idea. Obviously, there was more to it than that. And then John Saxon, who played Nancy Thompson's father in the first movie, and who turns up in this movie as well, he had written a script as well. Now, this script apparently had leaked online a few years ago, where somebody had read it, because I remember reading about this, and someone had written in-depth details about what had happened in this script. And this is fucking interesting, man. Wait to hear this. Right. So it was going to be a prequel, and it was going to be basically like a Freddy origin. And I think it was called When the Nightmare Began or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on the exact title, but it was going to reveal that Freddy Krueger was innocent, and that Charles Manson's family was the ones that killed all those kids, and that Freddy Krueger was a sort of member of the Manson family who was kind of brought in under their wing.
Who took the blame? Was the
basically the scapegoat who took the blame, and then because he was put to death by the parents who believed that he was the murderer, then that's why the evil spirit came back, because he was avenging his you know, the fact that he was wronged, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I can dig that. I can kind of see how that. I would like. I actually think rather than doing the remake like they did, if they turned around and said we're doing a prequel to this
Yeah.
or even a prequel series, you know what? Because the thing at the minute is series are working out so much better for I think the majority of franchises now than movies are. So if they did a Elm Street prequel series, I'm game. I'm up for seeing something like that. But that notion of Freddy was the scapegoat and becomes a vengeful spirit on the back of that, I think that would tie in really well if we didn't get the implications that came out of this movie. Prior to this movie, we never explicitly get told that he's killed kids. I think it's just implied that he's kind of killed, like, it's not sure, it's like teenagers or like children, if you know what I mean. He's always gone after teenagers at this point. It's never been explicitly said that he's killed like little kids. But in this movie, we have that moment at the start where the little girl goes, "This is where he brings us," and this is the first time we kind of explicitly get told he killed little girls. So yeah, this movie obviously completely changes that notion that it could have been the Manson family. But what an interesting take. What a really interesting take that that Freddy could have been a scapegoat for the Manson family.
I just think it ties in with the real world really
It would
well.
be interesting to hear if that is an 100% genuine take, or if it is just somebody who's, you know.
Well, it was John Saxon had written the script, and as I said, I don't know if the script is online. I don't think it is, but I think there's articles about the script online that you can kind of read what happened in the script, but I don't think you can actually read the script, which is a shame. I'd love to fucking read that script. But in Robert Englund's script as well, he wanted to bring back so Tina Gray from the first movie, Amanda Wyss, you know, who obviously dies at the start.
And did our introductory video that time.
She did, yeah, she did. Her sister moves back to town. Who we're not really told that she's got a sister, but in Robert Englund's script, he wrote this part for her sister. She would move back to town to sort of try to find out what the hell happened to Tina and her friends, and that was she was kind of like the main protagonist of that script. And I'm guessing that maybe she investigated the fun house or the house, the Thompson house, and that was Freddy's fun house. So that again,
that'd be interesting to see a carnival kind of concept to Freddy, because again, I feel like this one we kind of get, like, they kind of say the house is a maze, so you're kind of getting a bit of a fun house element in it. And there is one particular scene in this where it's one of the characters looks in the mirror, and then the backlight obviously comes on the mirror and Freddy's reflected instead. It's at the start when she's looking in the mirror and the taps come up and grab her. And I was like, that's very much like a haunted house gimmick, you know, the whole two-way mirror, but then the lights come on and reveal. But yeah, that would another interesting sort of idea. Fun house, a carnival-esque Freddy's take on a carnival. I'd be up for something like that.
Definitely, yeah. I love all the different ideas, you know, that there could have been for this movie, and I just love the franchise. I love the character. I have my own idea for a sequel that I've kind of been working on, but it would kind of be, I wouldn't say a direct sequel to the first movie, but it would be almost a direct sequel to the first movie and this movie, because I think the first three movies, I suppose even the fourth one as well, because the fourth one carries on from this movie. They tie in together. So, but yeah, I'm not going to tell you my idea. Maybe tell you off camera sometime, but I'm not going to reveal it to all the fans out there just in case they fucking steal it and
steal your idea.
Hello, 2 years down the line, there's like, new Freddy Krueger film coming out, and this is the idea, and I'm like, that was me.
If we hear anything about your, you know, if anything comes up with your ideas, or if we hear that they're doing a Elm Street prequel series, we demand some sort of payment.
Definitely, no, 100%. Excuse me.
COVID.
I know. Apparently, in one of the episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, which is again batshit crazy.
Yeah. But so much fun.
Robert Englund's script, they used a little part of his script. I don't know if they just were influenced by his ideas, but one of the episodes is kind of about that funhouse idea. I can't remember it, so if anyone knows what that episode is, drop it down below in the comments. Because I would like to check that out for sure. Danny, we talked about Nancy Thompson returning, the great Heather Langenkamp, who we absolutely love, but also Patricia Arquette, you know, who's gone on to become a massive actress. This was one of her first movies that she did. She played Kristen, obviously, in the movie. She was the main girl. And then Larry Fishburne.
Like
Larry Fishburne.
Rewatching it, I had kind of forgotten he was in it. And then when his name appeared in the opening credits, I was like, Larry?
Yeah,
who calls him Larry Fishburne?
But he was a younger actor. He was called Larry. And then once he probably hit his sort of late 30s, early 40s, he was like, no, you need to call me Lawrence now. I'm an old man.
I'm an older gentleman. I must be referred to as Lawrence. I wonder if I'll have to start doing that. I am no longer Denny. I shall be referred to as Daniel. No, I can't. Can't do it. Doesn't sound right.
Or just Dan. Dan Brown. People will be thinking you're the author.
I already get that joke, and I don't even go by Dan Brown.
Hello.
I don't want people to start going, oh, it's Dan the man. I'm like, not 5 years old. Leave me
Desperate
alone.
Dan.
Desperate. I've got a Desperate Dan t-shirt, to be fair.
People could call you Fanny instead of Danny.
Nah, I don't feel that one. Dante is a name that's our pal Gary refers to me as Dante. So yes.
And just to shout out, our pal Gary is going to be on the show in a couple of weeks.
So join us soon.
He will. We're not going to tell you what episode it is, but you know, keep it a surprise for you. But he's going to join us soon.
We're being joined by our pal Gary.
Finally, looking forward to it. So it's going to get cracked.
We've referred to him so much on the show, but he's never appeared. So yes, exciting times ahead.
Mr. Bort
Reynolds.
So one last thing about Wes Craven's script. I said it was going to be like sort of darker in tone and stuff. It was definitely going to be all about a group. That was always going to be the main thing. But apparently, the individuals in the group were all like going to commit suicide, and it was all about them sort of wanting to kill themselves, and then that's what kind of brought them together. Which I suppose
kind of is explored.
Sort of a little bit. It is definitely explored, but it was more on the nose, I think, in the original Craven script.
Yeah.
One of the big things about this movie, obviously, is the effects, man. We love our practical effects. We love our makeup. We love all that shit. We love
stop motion.
Oh, I know.
2 lovely stop motion scenes in this movie. And again, one of them is just a big straight up callback to fucking Jason and the Argonauts and all that old style stop motion with Freddy skeleton towards the end. What a fucking amazing scene, and it's fucking ridiculous as hell looking now. But it's still great. This charred old skeleton and smacking him with a shovel and all.
I know.
And you can tell that it's obviously been like imposed in because the actor kind of really hams up the whole but I love it. I absolutely love that. And the marionette, of course, as well, which, I mean, marionettes are creepy as fuck, but little Freddy marionette, ooh. I would have liked to, that's one thing maybe, I would have liked to have seen the marionette do more because it kind of just cuts itself down, walks across, but then grows into regular Freddy. I would have liked to have seen that marionette do like a wee bit more, maybe like jump up on the bed with them and maybe, something like that. Just a bit more to that it's such a cool wee prop. Why not do more with it,
Definitely.
Probably because stop motion's a pain in the hole to film, but
exactly. Exactly. It's a class puppet and it's something that I kind of want to buy and want to have on my shelf behind me. It's just one of those cool puppets, yeah. If anyone wants to buy me that little marionette from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, please do so.
The original, please.
I will give you a shout. The original. I'll give you a shout out. Shout out.
You want to shout out on the show?
Shout out.
Would you like a show on the show? Buy me marionette.
Brilliant. Class. But yeah, so special effects. Makeup is done by the great Kevin Yeager and Mark Shostrom, who we spoke about briefly in previous episodes. I think Mark Shostrom also worked on The Evil Dead, which, we talked about the crossover between Evil Dead 2 and this one where the glove appears in the shed. That was your man, Mark Shostrom, stole the glove. Well, he didn't steal it. It was his glove.
Yeah.
He took it from the set of A Nightmare on Elm Street and put it into the set of Evil Dead 2. So
you can see, I feel like you can really tell, like in a lot of the effects and stuff in this, especially the worm and stuff, the Freddy worm and even some of the effect, like the taps that move and stuff. There's something very kind of Evil Dead-y about it, and obviously the stop motion is a big thing in Evil Dead. And we get a lot of it in the, well, no, I say a lot, we get two sort of main scenes, and we get the kind of taps and stuff that are obviously done with stop motion. And yeah, it's just great. I love, we as you've said, we love practical effects, and it absolutely shines in this. And more practical effects horror, please.
Yes, please.
That's what we
Definitely
want. More practical effects horror.
The thing about this one is, like, the ideas in this movie are just, like, it's just never ending. You know, the previous films, you know, had some cool concepts and ideas, but this one just, like, it's just every new scene has something new. Every kill is something new. Yeah, it's very unique. I mean, the kills in this are easily some of the best kills in the whole franchise, and I think overall, I think Tina Gray's kills one of the best from the first one. Sorry, the whole franchise. But I think overall, in terms of like what film has the best kills, and kind of, I suppose the most original ideas, is definitely this one.
Oh yeah.
You know, let's go through them. You get obviously you get the marionette, the puppet master, which is awesome and brutal as well. Whenever you see his veins come out, and you know, oh, brutal. And then you get, you know, Welcome to Primetime Bitch, which is...
Welcome to Primetime Bitch, which is iconic. Absolutely iconic. What is after that? Tongue-tied. You get the tongue-tied after that with Joey. And then...
Although he doesn't die.
No, he doesn't die.
Still a cool scene.
Yeah, still a great scene. Because again, the whole kind of lead into that, he's being seduced by the nurse, and then... Next thing he knows, this big, like, because again, Freddy loves getting his tongue out. So from the first film, he's just whipping that big gross tongue out.
He is,
and then this one, he's got 4 gross tongues that like shoot out of his mouth.
We talked about what was it? It was the Treehouse of Horror episode. Willie,
yes.
Yeah, the big fucking long tongue. Not there.
Was it? Have you mastered? Was it? You've mastered a dead tongue. A dead tongue, but can you handle a live one?
I know.
So yes, Freddy loves wrangling his tongue around folk.
I know, and this is the first time we see him, you know, as a woman.
Yeah,
because in one of the later ones, I think it's the next one. There's a scene where he's a nurse, a female nurse. That's a funny scene, but in this one, he actually, you know, he's got his fucking jabs out and all.
He gets his ditties out, and he's being seductive, using his seductive wiles.
Apparently, originally when that scene was written, they wrote it as like a she Freddy. So like the woman, the beautiful woman who's got her ditties out, was actually wearing the makeup to look like Freddy. Yeah.
Okay.
Then they decided against it for obvious reasons. So.
I still think that could have been an interesting concept, especially now because you do see a lot of like. You know, at Halloween, you always get the sexy Freddys, and you see kind of like Freddy artwork. But what happens if you made like those sexy Freddys actually look like Freddy, like properly like Freddy? I think that would have been a really interesting. Because could you imagine, like in that moment, like just as you know, sexy lady appears, and then the camera cuts, and she's all burnt and grotesque. It probably would have been a pretty freaky moment for the first time you watched it. So,
yeah.
But again, it's another thing that kind of Freddy gets to use his one-liners, which you know, as the Freddy do.
Yeah.
And then after that one, what do we get after that? It's the gang all kind of team up together.
You get the other characters but even the characters in this film is great. You know, the group dynamic. I just love them. I love all the characters. You get Tarn, who is the heroin addict. So you know. The fucking needles.
The needles. It's,
you know, and that's classic.
It's the bit for me in that scene. It's not even like his needle fingers, which, ironically, for somebody who is covered in tattoos, not a big fan of getting injections. Not a big fan of needles. But yeah, his needle fingers, I'm a bit kind of like, okay, not a fan of that. Not a fan of the notion of being 4 needles jabbed into me at the one time. But it's her wee track holes that are like suckling.
They're like wee mouths, aren't they?
Do you
know what they remind me of? And then you'll like this. Do you know from Labyrinth or Dark Crystal? Is it Labyrinth or is it Dark Crystal? The wee swamp creatures. They're like wee balls of fur.
Oh,
and they're like that.
yes, yep.
Their
It's
mouths are just opening up.
Fiskink. We
Aye,
Fiskink.
aye, that's it.
That's Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal is, yep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what they're like. They're just like,
just these wee arms, like trying to. It's oh no, they've here turned me. Like, see if I was looking down at my arm and see like these little mouths like waiting to suckle on some needles. No, turnt, absolutely turnt.
And then the other death is of
the wizard.
What's the wizard's name? Will? Is it? Will? All right.
Oh my Will God. Or Phil?
It's Will. It's definitely Will.
Is it Will?
Aye. Phil's the puppet. The puppet death.
Oh, he's the puppet one.
Philip,
okay.
Yeah. So Will is the guy in the wheelchair who's like super nerdy because he wears glasses.
Loves his was it Wizard Master?
He loves
which is just D&D.
He loves basically D&D exactly. Well, we can't say D&D, but let's call it Wizard Master instead.
Wizard Master, yes. I love his Wizard Master cape.
His costume, yeah.
That's great.
And he does the old fucking Palpatine
power,
limited power.
I love it, and that bit as well. You know, he's just destroyed the wheelchair, and then he kind of turns his magic on Freddy, and Freddy's just like, I don't believe in fairy tales.
Exactly.
I was just like, nah, Freddy, and you're kind of in that for some reason. Like when that happened, I kind of was like, Freddy, and I was like, no, wait, no, I don't cheer for him. He's the bad guy. But it is a victory for Freddy in that moment because you do automatically assume, oh, this kid's going to get him because he's managed to destroy his like wheelchair of doom.
Yeah.
And it's even before that he hits him with it's the chair for you, and you're just like
it's like a big mad fucking
torture chair.
Yeah, it's like spikes and fucking everything.
Spikes. I think there's like a fucking mace hanging off the side of it, and it's a ridiculous looking torture device. But yeah, it's the chair for you that cracked me up. And then I had like a little cheer for Freddy, and then was like, hold on a second, I'm not actually supposed to cheer for him. But there is something about Freddy Krueger that just get the people going. And yeah, I don't know, why do you feel?
I think in the second film there was a sort of like, because there was he was kind of invading Jesse's body and all that sort of stuff. There was a sort of kind of like invasive thing about Freddy, and it was kind of creepy and horrible, and he was really terrifying in that. So you weren't cheering for him, but in this one, because of all the over the top gags and stuff that happens in the deaths and everything's so over the top, and you do get that sort of funhouse element at the end whenever they all jump into the same dream themselves. They're going around the house, and you have the wall, the wall of mirrors and all that sort of stuff. So there is that sort of funhouse element to it. You just love Freddy, and this is the film I think that people fell in love with him.
Yeah. As I said, it completely springboards for his popularity. It's a complete springboard for his popularity and for the merchandising and stuff that came after, and all the songs.
Well, we'll talk about some of our favorite scenes in a minute, but we can't really not talk about the song. Dream Warriors by Token. Fucking unreal. One of the greatest theme songs ever.
So good. Just came on, like when the credits started to roll and it came on, I was just like, fuck, yeah.
Man, I get goosebumps. See that opening scene? Every single time I get goosebumps. What an opening scene. And
we haven't even spoke about the fact that before even the opening credits roll, there's an Edgar Allan Poe quote.
Oh, yeah.
It's just kind of, what is it? Sleep those little slices of death.
Yeah.
I loathe them. Edgar Allan Poe. And it's just kind of, it's like, yeah, I know, like, we get that the whole thing's about, like, sleep and, you shouldn't sleep or Freddy's going to get you, but...
I have
knowledge.
I have an answer.
Some knowledge.
I don't know if this is definitely why they've done that. Obviously, there was a time period there where a lot of films were doing like quotes at the start of the films before they opened, just to make it cool and stuff.
Edgy. I can read.
Yes, it's like, ooh, Edgar Allan Poe.
We're educated.
Yeah, and the whole sort of sleep thing, But in Wes Craven's original script, Freddy Krueger turns into a raven. Stroke crow. I don't know exactly if it's a raven or a crow, but apparently there's a crow or raven in his original script that's supposed to be like Freddy Krueger watching over the characters. So I think, you know, the whole Raven connection, they were like, oh, we have to have Edgar Allan Poe, you know.
Edgar Allan Poe featured.
Yeah, so Nevermore and all that stuff. But that's just me spitballing. Maybe it's not.
Freddy the Raven. It makes me, again, tying it back to Labyrinth and the hints and stuff. Just Jareth turning into the owl.
I know. It's all connected, man.
It's all a big creative circle.
It's all one. But we'll talk about obviously that song by Dopin is a fucking, you know, amazing song. Yeah. And I'm not going to do it again because my throat's fucked. But the score was done by Angelo Badalamenti, who also did Twin Peaks. So, you know, he's a fucking legend. He composed the original score to Twin Peaks as well, which is just like unreal. Like, it's one of the greatest pieces of music that you're ever going to hear.
So good.
And the score in the Elm Street franchise is amazing, especially this one as well. Fantastic. But another little fact, Danny. Throwing the facts out to you now.
Straight facts.
In Australia, they banned this film.
For what reason?
Guess why they banned it.
Suicide. Themes of suicide?
No. Although that's not a bad one. No, they banned it because of the themes of drug use. And obviously, especially that scene where, you know, he's like, oh, let's get high. Yeah. And you're like, right, okay, really? That's why you're banning it? The fuck? Yeah.
It's showing that drugs are bad, okay?
Exactly.
Drugs are bad.
And you can die. You can die with them, you know?
Like this one, I feel like you'd be more justified in saying themes of suicide were prevalent because there's that moment at the start where Christian's got she's cut her wrist open. Well, Freddy's cut her wrist open, but she's standing with the blade and the open wrist. And that there, I mean, in terms of portraying suicide and suicide attempts, showing the implement of suicide and where she's cut.
Aye.
That for some broadcasters is a no-no.
I know.
So yeah, I'm actually surprised the drug one, because even the fact it doesn't look like it's like fucking fluorescent blue. It's not. It's not. It doesn't even look like fucking heroin or any of it. Not that I would know, but it doesn't look. You know, it doesn't look like an actual drug. It looks like something the Ninja Turtles would huff. would get.
I have a hot take.
Oh,
I believe that Freddy is the drug. There you go. What about that hot take? Freddy Krueger is the addiction. He is what they are addicted to, or he is what Tarn is addicted to.
Funny, I was going to ask, do you think at the start of the film that Freddy is the one who did do the cutting, or was he just influencing Kristen to do it because he needed to regain his power? He needed to regain the fear before he could physically do any of that.
See, that's what's so great about these films, because they never, like, it's just like, this happens.
Yeah.
We're not going to explain it. It just happens. So that's why I love it. And you could look on it being, I mean, if you broke it down, you could maybe look, oh, does Freddy actually do any of the stuff to these kids? Or is it just them doing it and it's the kids kind of manifesting this creature in their head type thing?
Well, that's what they do talk about it in this film. They say that it's a group hallucination.
Yeah, it's like psychosis, isn't it? It's like a shared psychosis or something.
Shared psychosis, yeah. And again, because even the marionette scene, what we see through Philip's eyes, is not what we see through the other characters' eyes, because the other characters just see him as sleepwalking. But in Philip's dream head, he's being led along by his arteries. And yeah, I think there is an argument for this film to say that it's actually the kids themselves that are doing it. And Freddy's influence is purely based on, as the older medical professional says, is based on their heightened sexuality and sense of guilt and all, you know, that sort of stuff.
She sounds like a DEP politician.
It's because they're all gay.
Because you're all gay and sexual and stuff.
Oh, Jesus. And they help spread COVID.
I know. Fucking hell. But yeah, so no, it's an interesting take. It's I mean, there's loads of different ways that you could break the film down. And yeah, Philip at that point, you see Freddy sort of smirking, and he's like, but obviously the kids can't see him, or do they? Do they?
Well, you get
his
the
eyes.
notion
You know,
that
they say that his eyes is open. They
yes.
make a point of saying that, but they don't say, "Oh, we."
Will says he had his eyes open the whole way down, but it is his roommate. It's going to annoy me that I can't remember his name now.
Kincaid.
Yeah. Kincaid. When he kind of goes, "What you doing, man?" But he doesn't react in any way to lead us to believe that he sees Freddy or the arteries or anything like that.
Yeah, because he is a sleepwalker anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
So they just assume that he's just out having a wee dander around the halls at night.
Yeah.
But we spoke briefly about the fact that it expands the lore of Freddy Krueger, which we both love, and I love the fact that there's a wee ghosty nun.
There's a wee ghosty nun,
and it's his own man.
It's great. It's his man, and again, you don't, unless you've seen the film, you don't know until she tells it. Like that, I think that's what's great about it, is that we don't actually know who this. We just assume that she, as they kind of say at the start, she volunteers every so often, and we just go along with that until the big reveal, and you're like, what the fuck? What a moment! What a way to reveal it too. Because again, it doesn't kind of. I know later on, we kind of get shown it in the. Isn't it the Dream Child? I think they actually kind of show like flashbacks.
You see the actual scene where Robert Englund is Robert Englund.
Yes, but the just her telling the story about how it happened and all. It's spine tingling. It is actually, I think, is a really scary moment, is when she's just telling that story in a real like level tone, and she's just laying out the facts of what happened. Like, they had her hidden for days, and when they finally found her, she was barely alive but pregnant, with child. And you're like, fuck, like that's it's a story that if you heard it from an actual institution, you'd be like, that's fucking wild.
It bursts one of the greatest lines of dialogue ever written in cinema. The bastard son of 100 maniacs.
Yeah.
That is just such a great way to describe Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And apparently it nearly didn't make the final version. I think they were sort of like, I don't know if we should put this in. Maybe it's a bit over the top, maybe it's not, but I'm so glad they left it in, because it's so perfect. And Dream Child, 2 films later, you see the birth of the baby, and then you also see the 100 maniacs in the room. And you see Robert Englund plays one of the maniacs. Obviously, he's the father that inseminates Amanda Krueger. It's nice to see that he got sort of an extra wee part in that film.
Yeah.
But the nun always kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. It was just spooky. Anything to do with like religion and nuns, and that always kind of spooked me out, because I was a wee
Catholic
boy,
Yep, I was going to say that Catholic upbringing just made you fear the nuns.
Exactly, and it was just kind of, because she was old, she was pale, and she was all white, and it was just kind of just really spooky. But
pure wizened. She's got a wee wizened face, which again, she looks friendly. Like, she does look friendly enough, but as you say, she kind of appears, says her piece, and then disappears. What a fantastic character too, though. Like, really, really, like, fantastic performance for her, and considering she's only in 3 scenes. So,
we love this film. We love how over the top it is and just silly it is. But I do feel like there is a bit of a message in there. If you did want to break it down, we've talked about kind of the idea of suicide, and the importance of, especially now where kids are they're put through everything, and they have to sort of perform and do all this, and they feel like they're under so much pressure. This film kind of is it's all about silencing kids as well. It's all about sort of saying that we know better than you, and it doesn't matter what you're telling us, we know what's best for you. And those characters, especially the older doctor, the female doctor, she's not a horrible person, but the way she speaks about the kids, and the way she kind of talks down to them and says, she obviously represents the system, and the system's failed, and the system feels these kids in this movie, but I think it's a pretty powerful message.
There's a lot of, I feel they kind of get a lot. So as you say, she represents the kind of stricter side of the system. I feel like Lawrence Fishburne's character represents the side of the system that attempts to do right but still doesn't understand. Like he kind of tries to keep he tries to keep them away, even though they're trying to do right by the kids. He's trying to say, no, actually what you're doing is bad for them, but it's because it doesn't fit into what the system expects and what the system wants. And again, lots of interesting takes on the characters and what they represent within this film. And yeah, it definitely it's great character development, I think, across the board, including for Freddy as well. Because we get, as we said, we kind of get a bit more background on it, but we also kind of learn new methods in which to destroy Freddy, put him to rest. A bit more of a holy kind of method to dealing with Freddy. And then we also get why is Freddy killing the teens? For what reason? And we get that in that fantastic fucking chest reveal scene. We kind of see that they are the source of his power and he needs them so much that they're actually a part of his body. So many ideas and notions explored in this film. I think, again, that's probably why we love it.
Yeah, exactly. And amazing film. One of my favorite scenes is whenever we first see Nancy again. I love Nancy as a character.
Her lovely big white streak.
I love her as a character. I love Heather Langenkamp as an actress, and whenever she comes back, it's just a real nice throwback to the first movie, and it's a real Wes Craven call because she was obviously in his script, and he contacted her about coming back because he always believes that in the third movie you have to go back to the first movie, and he actually mentions that in Scream 3 when the character of Randy, who died in Scream 2, he's recorded a video for his friends, and he's sort of warning them about what potentially could happen in this film, and he's saying that in the threequel it always goes back to the first movie, and that was just a nice wee nod to this movie, I think. Fuck, I love Wes Craven, man. I really miss him.
He's some pup.
I know. I also love the fact that in this one, they play around with the fact that there's the drug Hypnosil, and they sort of play around with the fact that they go into more detail about dreams and medication and how
more of a science.
I like that. I like that they explore that kind of realness, I suppose, to it, and science to it, and then obviously you have the supernatural thing that happens outside of that. But, I really like that aspect too. Right, Danny, top 3 scenes. Let's go. It's tough because there's literally about 50 great scenes.
Yep, it's such a great handful of scenes. As I said, I think the stop motion for me is one of the best, and especially the Freddy's charred remains stop motion has to be one of it. And again, it's the lead up to that moment as well, with all the cars blaring, the horns are going, and the lights are flashing, and it's a fantastic scene. Builds up a good bit of tension with the kind of sounds and all going on, and then he reaches for the bag of remains, and the wee charred skeleton hand grabs him, and you get then the skeleton clawed hand come up, and that has to be one of mine.
I love the skeleton. I love that whole Harryhausen skeletons. Like, that was something that I watched when I was a child, and I just love the whole stop motion stuff as well.
Hell yeah.
I'll pick a few different ones since you've picked those ones. I love the Welcome to Primetime bitch. Just unreal.
Iconic. Absolutely iconic.
But go ahead.
The bourbon scene.
I was literally about to say, where's the bourbon? Bitch?
Where's the bourbon? Where's the fucking bourbon? Or there was, he actually says, because it was when I was watching it, I goes, it's the scene. Yeah. He says, I asked where the fucking bourbon was. Which isn't what I remember him saying. Is that what he says? Is that a Mandela effect? Is that what you?
I think it potentially could be a Mandela effect.
I think it's a Mandela effect because as the scene happened, I goes, he's going to say, "Where's the bourbon, bitch?" But he doesn't actually say "bitch" in that scene. I was just watching it today.
Yeah, he says, "We're obviously welcome to Primetime, bitch."
Yes.
later. So maybe that's you're sort of connecting those two.
Connecting those
yeah,
two,
that's,
but yeah,
that's a great scene where he grabs her head of the mum.
Whereas she just gets pulled through the doorway and then he appears with her head.
And then she's like, "Oh, you're always doing this to me every time I bring a man home," and it's fucking great, really funny, man. And I love the fact that they play with the idea that this is the first film I think that they play with real life, because what is it, the talk show, they have Zsa Zsa Gabor on it, and then who's the who's the host? Ah, fuck.
It's because again, it's actually him playing himself.
Yeah, who is it? I can't remember the guy's name. Is it Dick Caveat?
Dick is
that his name?
Yeah.
I love that, and they do that a few times through some of the later films where they kind of play with actual real life. I just think that's really cool. And they do a lot of TV scenes from here onwards, which is obviously the influence of MTV and all that sort of stuff. But unreal scene. Where's the fucking bourbon bitch? You're right.
Yeah,
I'll have to go and double check that. That's
weird.
I'm
pretty sure he just says, I asked you where the fucking bourbon was, because it's meant to be that scene's a callback to the start of the film. And the person that the mom's brought home with him, he shouts up, "Oh, where do you keep the bourbon?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll be right down." And he comes up and goes, "I asked you where the fucking bourbon was." Which
we can't. Yeah, I know.
See the suit as well. What a great moment!
I know.
Freddy out of his typical work trousers and yellow and red jumper and wearing a flash tux. It's become again an iconic image. It's the image I picked when I met Robert Englund to get him to sign, because I was just like, what a picture, what an absolute picture.
I know, but I love the opening scene, the whole sequence of building the house,
paper mache, love little arts and crafts.
Love all that shit, man. Love all that homemade shit. Love the fact that she's putting coffee into her Coke.
No, she just scoops the coffee right in her mouth.
I mean, she drinks the Coke afterwards.
And then she drinks it. But it's just she just goes and you think she's going to make coffee and just right in the mouth, and she's turning the music up full blast and all.
Just love those little things where she's obviously doing things to stay awake, and I just love that little house. That's another thing I'm going to get someday when I buy a house.
Just probably not sell, man.
Well, okay. All right.
You're off. You have a weekend off. Just sit and build your own wee Elm Street house, paper mache and popsicle sticks.
I know. So there's that whole opening sequence, which is amazing, and then I love all the group therapy stuff as well, and I love at the end whenever they all join forces, and they go into the fun house, Freddy's fun house, I suppose you could call it, and that whole exploding mirrors, that's just cool. I just love that idea of mirrors exploding, and the film's beautiful. It's
great.
You talked about the scene in the junkyard with the cars, that's gorgeous scene, and then the scene where Will's in the tunnel, the wheelchair, that's beautiful as well. And there's a lot of great scenes in this movie.
Fantastic lighting, because it's quite, apart from when they're in the hospital, it's quite dark.
Yeah.
But again, the lighting used within the dark to really highlight what needs to be highlighted is fantastic. Now there are there's no blue hues in this movie, or not any that I noticed. So blue hue count for this film, as far as I'm aware, is nil.
There's sort of a blue hue, is there not, from that tunnel scene? It's dark, obviously, but is there not a bit of a blue?
There's perhaps a bit of a blue hue. I will have to go check and get my blue hue detector out to detect the blue hue scale.
Definitely, after this season 4, we're going to do a proper blue hue count in each episode.
Yeah, we'll have to make note of the blue hues.
That'll be a segment.
But we do get the lovely blue glowing syringes.
Yes, of course.
Which are filled with some sort of blue glowing radioactive looking Gatorade
or something, some real fucking bubblegum remember those wee fat things you used to drink? Lemonade, bubblegum lemonade.
Yes.
Pure sugar.
Imagine, I actually, you know what? Somebody was to come up to me and say, "You want a shot of this?" I'd be like, "Oh, go on, then."
Fucking right. Enemy veins, man.
Right into my veins. Bubbles.
I know. So, so I mean, a fucking amazing film, an amazing sequel, one of the best of the franchise, one of the best sequels ever made to any fucking horror film.
Yep.
So good, but we can't go. We can't talk any more without talking about big fucking penis Freddy. Because let's be honest, it was a big giant cock.
Big worm? You mean the big worm? It was just a big worm, you filthy-minded heathen.
It was a big phallic.
Big phallic Freddy. Phallic Freddy. Phallic Freddy strikes again.
That is one of the greatest scenes in the whole film. Whenever they're in Freddy's house at the end and he jumps out because he sees. No, he's trying to chase Kristen, obviously, and then he sees Nancy and he's like, "You," and that's the first time that he has seen her and he recognizes her and he sees, "Oh my god, here we go, my nemesis is back." I love that fucking scene. It's just a little
moment. It's so good, and was it because Nancy's just been pulled into the dream.
Yeah,
by Kristen, and yeah, as you say, it's just that moment of realization of look who's here. And you can just see Freddy's ready for it. Like he's just like, "Oh, I've been waiting." Ah, what a moment!
So good, man.
What a moment.
I know. Full of great moments. Whole film's full of great moments. But I think we're coming to the end of the episode, Danny. Is there anything else you want to speak about, or are you?
No, I think I'm pretty sure we have gushed enough over our love of Dream Warriors. Everything about Dream Warriors, the soundtrack, the characters, the deaths. Practical effects, everything. I'm pretty sure we have covered all our bases. Even though I'm pretty sure we could probably still ramble on.
We could, but you know, I'm very aware.
I feel like we've got our main points down.
I'm very aware we could speak for another hour, but we really can't be doing this every week. Speak for fucking 2 hours odd, so we'll try to end it now.
With all our main highlights.
I know, but we definitely will be doing A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 Dream Master next season. So keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't seen our previous Elm Street episodes, then please go back on our YouTube and check that out from season 1 and season 2.
Let us know your favorites so far of the episodes you've watched of ours, but also do you love, is Dream Warriors your favorite, or do you perhaps have more love for one of the other ones? Let us know in the comments below.
Definitely, and let us know what your favorite death is in this movie, because it's full of amazing death. And who your favorite character is and all that stuff. Please let us know, because we love interacting with the viewers. And who is your favorite character and what is your favorite death?
Has to be favorite death. Has to be Primetime Bitch. Has to be. It's such a moment, like when she's the hands come out, and it's even the way the arms are made up of just like random TV components, and the glove, like you still know it's Freddy's glove, but when you look at it, it's just like bits of metal from a TV all put together to make the glove, and then his head popping out with the wee antennas on it, and just lifts her up and just shoves her straight into the TV. Just as I've said it. I'm pretty sure I've said it 3 times already, but let's say a 4th time. What an iconic moment. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely iconic.
Agree with you there, Danny. That's my favorite, definitely. And favorite character?
It's always going to be Freddy. Is the favorite character. My favorite character, I think, in this film, who we've not seen before, is the nun. I'm going to say the nun. Really I think she puts in such a solid performance, and as I said, I think her telling the story of the 100 psychopaths and Freddy's, how Freddy came to be, I think it's an absolutely fantastic moment and sends chills up my spine. So I think my favorite character in the film is Freddy's ma.
How Freddy? What's her name?
Freddy.
Do we find out? Sister. I know her name's Amanda.
Sister Mary.
Something.
I can't mind what it's Sister Mary something Krueger.
Fair play there, Amanda Krueger. Nice performance. Yeah, fair play. That's all we've got time for this week.
Who's your favorite character? You never said yours.
Did I say?
You never said. You were laughing too much about me saying the nun.
Oh, sorry. Who is my favorite character then? I love Nancy, but
of course,
Big Laurie Fishburne.
Big Larry Fishburne, he just wants what's best for the kids,
know.
but he's still too indoctrinated to that system.
Well, you know, he's.
But as we learn later on, he breaks away from the system and
does.
will offer you the red or the blue pill.
Is a sequel, huh? He's seen what the real.
He's seen the reality
is
of
all
all.
about. Yeah. Why can we not get a sequel of that character, who, you know, years later is trying to fight Freddy? Let's do that, Danny. Let's write that one.
That'd be an interesting take. He kind of realizes that what was going on was true, and he was just part of the machine that was.
Do you know what, as well? And I've got the best opening scene. You see him walking around the hospital, and you're like, oh, he's still doing this job. And then you find out he's a patient. Ooh. There we go. Right, I'm off to write that script, and Danny's going to give me some advice about writing the script too. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Monday Night Frights. As always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Fright Club NI. Check out the website www.thefrightclubni.com. Buy a t-shirt, buy a patch.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and also share with your friends.
Share with your horror pals. That's the best way to help us out. Just tell your horror fans to check us out every week. And, you know, hopefully we can keep going with this and keep getting more subscribers and fans and interactions, and we can just keep doing what we're doing. But until next week, take care, stay safe, guys. All the best.
Bye.